In today's episode of the Pathfunk Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Kezia Lynch, and she's shailing over from the folks over at Parkable. Basically, Parkable stands for Smarter Parking. With Parkable, workplaces and commercial properties manage their parking with ease. So we want to really deep dive into what's Parkable all about and how Case is thinking about growth for the company. So welcome to the show.
Hello, nice to be here.
Appreciate that. Yeah, so maybe give people a quick overview. What is Parkable all about in your own words?
Parkable is parking management software for modern businesses. So we work with large employers and also commercial property owners and managers all around the world to make their parking both easier to manage and also easier to use.
Maybe tell people then a little bit about it. What was the challenge, or what is the challenge that they currently face, and sort of how does Parkable help them to overcome it?
Yeah, sure. So traditionally in a workplace, before COVID, parking management was quite simple. You had maybe your top executives and you had the number of spots that they needed, and you just gave it to them and you were like, cool, you're going to be in the office every single day. Fine, sorted, done. Don't need to think about it ever again. Nowadays, it's flexible working, it's hybrid schedules, and that traditional kind of management method where you just allocate it and it's used is not true anymore, because executives in particular are not coming into the offices, especially on Mondays and Fridays. Office occupancy is about 10% on those days. And so Parkable enables parking spaces to be like shared assets, kind of like a hot desking system where people can book them when they need them, share them when they don't need them, and it automates all of the management instead of using like a horrible spreadsheet and Tetrising things around.
Makes a whole lot of sense. Now, the customers that you're working with, like at what scale of parking spots do they need to have for the system to really play out for them?
We tend to say that anyone who has more than 15 parking spots, it kind of gets a bit too much to manage on a spreadsheet. But our scale of customers is so broad. We work with really small companies who are, solo offices, and there's maybe 15 parking spots. And then we work with the likes of Meta around the world where they have, tens of thousands of parking spots as well. So full spectrum, really.
Very cool. And what would you say, sort of who within those organizations, would, come across Parkable and bring it into the organization? Is that somebody from sort of operational side of things? Is it, the IT team that, wants to bring in a technical edge? Like who's bringing it in?
It's really interesting. So parking management usually falls into the remit of a facilities manager in larger organizations. In a smaller organization, it could sit with like an EA or an office manager or something like that. But actually the impact of parking is so wide. There's the human resources side of things with like benefit schemes and entitlements as parts of payroll. There is financial reasons that someone might implement Parkable, because parking spaces to lease are incredibly expensive. And then there's people who are in like technology and enablement and stuff like that, looking to really digitize businesses and make them far more efficient. So our main buyers, or our main group that we work with, are definitely facilities managers, but we've seen kind of people of all avenues come in as leads.
Very cool. Now, if we take that into consideration, how do they learn about you guys? Like, how do they go from having the problem to actually learning about you guys and getting started? What are the channels that they walk through?
Yeah, so this has been a big kind of journey for us. When we first started kind of 7 years ago, parking management was not a thing. I mean, people were just doing it traditionally with spreadsheets and stuff like that and having a lot of pain doing it. And so it's been a real journey of educating people that parking can be better and that there is a tech solution for it, not just a human solution for it. And so then we've got a big kind of content marketing strategy that's around problem awareness and then problem solution awareness as well. And then also one of our biggest channels is review websites. So there's likes of Capterra and G2 where facilities managers and people looking for technology to implement in their businesses go, and that funnels a lot of people our way.
Very cool. What role does the website play, in your opinion?
Websites are a really big one for us. We've got quite a few different audiences, as I mentioned before. There's people that are using us for financial reasons. There's people that are using us for experience reasons. There's people that are using us for kind of performance and optimization reasons. And so the website's a complex place because you've got to have so many messages. And then we've got quite a variety of kind of products and sub-products underneath that. The website for us, we went through a journey of kind of doing it about a year ago, I want to say now, and I led that project. And originally it just really didn't represent our brand well, or actually what we did well. And now people can land on our website. The feedback we've had is that they actually understand very quickly what we do, and they can very quickly get to the other places that given the information that they are actually after.
That makes a lot of sense. Very cool. Now, since you've been involved in rebuilding your website, what would you say is sort of a major strength of the page at the moment versus where do you see maybe even room for further improvement?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One massive strength that we've brought into the new website is the ability to localize content per region. So we now have in the back end the ability to have, you know, a different variant for the UK and New Zealand and Australia and the US. And that's really important to us because the language that people use in all of those places in relation to parking spots or spaces or stalls or bays or all these different things is vastly different. And so having language that people actually use helps them understand immediately how we apply. The other thing that's been a massive strength of our new website is just the performance of it. We really built it from the ground up with SEO in mind, both from a configuration and places to put keywords and metadata and stuff like that, but also from a performance perspective. Our old website really was slow in terms of loading, and that really penalized us with our search rankings.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, if we, basically, move on a little bit further from the topic of the website and talk a little bit about sort of your day in the business, like, what would be typical things that you would be involved in? How should we, imagine a typical day, if such thing even exists, for Kes?
Oh, typical day is a complex one. The way I describe my role in the business is I manage all of our international market launches and the localization of our marketing around the world, and the strategies that we implement to grow in those markets. But then also anything that isn't someone else's job kind of becomes my job. And I feel like that's very typical for marketers. So at the moment, my days involve a lot of travel around the world to get to know clients and understand our markets that we're operating in. And then I work really closely across a whole bunch of different teams in our business, from product to the actual content team to customer success and sales. So yeah, every day is actually really different. It's hard to generalize.
Okay, very cool. Now, as we slowly approaching, towards the end of the interview, I'd have some rapid fire questions for you to get to know you and your journey a little bit better. You ready for those?
Let's go.
What would be the last book that you've read or the last podcast you've listened to?
Oh, last podcast I listened to was an episode of Just the Gist this morning. It's an Australian podcast where they deep dive into one topic every week to give you just the gist so you could talk about something silly at a dinner party.
Nice. What would be the one single thing that Parkable is focused on the most at the moment?
Oh, I would say cracking the US market. It's such a different place for us coming from New Zealand and Australia and the UK. And so figuring that out is the most important thing because obviously it represents such a large opportunity.
A quick follow-up on that. What would you say is sort of, the thing that a marketer maybe from Australia should keep in mind when they, go into the US market?
What you consider to be mass market in those parts of the world is incredibly niche here. There's so many people here. And so if you try and have like a broad message, that just isn't going to resonate in America.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, if you would have a magic wand, you could fix one thing for your role as a marketer. What would it be?
Oh, great question. Probably consistent leads. I feel like that's every marketer's kind of drama in the SaaS world. One month you can be doing really well, the next month you can be down, and you're like, I can't understand why that was. So consistency.
I think that's actually a very good one. It comes up rarely. People want a lot more leads, but this consistency level is actually a very interesting one. Now, if you could snap your finger and get one task that you would have to do repetitively, automated for you, which one would that be?
Reporting. No hesitation.
Nice. Very good. I'd like to do a little bit of time travel, right? And let's go back to basically, we can actually go a little bit of, back. We go to Auckland University of Tech, right? So you go all the way back. Now you're heading out of formal education into the world of, business and marketing and the likes. What would be the one advice you would give yourself for that journey as a marketer? I
think I've kind of in hindsight done this, but it's kind of do as many different things as possible. So I've been in B2B and I've been in B2C and I've worked with fast moving consumer physical goods and I've worked with tech. And so having that wide array of experience means that I can come up with creative solutions to problems in different fields that aren't usually applied.
Cool. Very good, Cass. Really appreciate that you took the time with us today to be a guest on Pathfinder Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Parkable, what's the one thing people should remember?
Oh, hard one. I think the biggest thing for me is it's not about choosing a tech solution. It's about also looking at how you implement the solution. I think McKinsey says that 70% of implementations fail in businesses. And it's like the solution was probably really good. It was just poorly implemented. And so that's one thing that we really focus on at Parkable is making sure that everybody knows what they're doing and how to use the technology.
Fantastic. Really appreciate your insights there, and thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathfinder Presents and giving us an insight into both the world of Parkable.
Thanks for having me.